This is our time. We'll tell you the main news at this hour. My name is Oleg Borisov. Hello? Well, since early morning, Russian forces have been shelling Kherson. The city was hit with both tube and rocket artillery. 3 Kherson residents were injured. They have already received medical assistance, according to local authorities. As a result of Russian strikes, houses in the Korobelny district of the city were damaged. The Russians also shelled a market in the center of Kherson. Several retail stalls were damaged. And at night, Russian drones struck the Kharkiv region. There were more than a dozen strikes. In Chuiv, 3 people were injured, and a house and an outbuilding burned down. In Balaklia, 8 private houses were also damaged, but 4 people, including a child, were rescued. Over the past day, the Russians shelled Kharkiv and 9 other settlements. 7 people were injured as a result of a Russian missile strike on Mykolaiv. The Russians attacked the city the previous evening. As a result, 3 private houses were destroyed. Another 23 private houses and more than 10 apartment buildings, as well as cars, a post office, and a store, were damaged, according to the Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration. More than 70 drones and 6 missiles of various types were launched by Russia at Ukraine on Sunday night, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. The defenders of Ukraine's skies destroyed 60 drones and 1 Iskander-M ballistic missile. The air attack was repelled by aviation, anti-aircraft missile troops, electronic warfare and drone units, as well as mobile fire groups of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. Our warriors have proven to the whole world, it is possible to shoot down what is supposedly impossible to shoot down. It is possible to master the F-16s very quickly. Today is the day of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a day when Ukrainians thank those who fight Russian aerial terror 24/7. The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, thanked not only the pilots, but also the engineers, anti-aircraft gunners, instructors, everyone who helps protect the Ukrainian sky.
Today is the day of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. A day for us to thank each and every person who repels Russian attacks, destroys enemy planes, missiles, and drones, strikes the front from the air, everyone who fights against Russian terror every day and every night. Thank you to the pilots, engineers, technical staff, anti-aircraft gunners, everyone who trains, and all who help our people who deliver results. Eternal honor and remembrance to all our warriors who did not return and died defending life. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
In combat, they carry out dozens of sorties and destroy Russian targets. And on training grounds, they hone their skills and correct their mistakes. Our film crews saw how the battalion of unmanned systems trains in conditions as close as possible to real combat.
Cases with equipment, dozens of batteries of various capacities, and drones. All this pre-prepared equipment is brought down into the dugout by the servicemen as they get ready for work. Before takeoff, the team member responsible for monitoring the skies checks to make sure nothing threatens the crew and that there are no enemy UAVs over their positions.
Honestly, it left.
First, the crew launches a relay drone, the so-called mattress. It ensures the effectiveness of the strike drone's flights.
It improves the video and allows us to work in places where it would be impossible without it.
How long exactly can it help like that?
About 15 to 20 minutes. It all depends on the weather conditions.
The relay drone's antenna must be pointed in the direction of the second strike drone's flight, the operators say. The pilot constantly monitors this, switching between automatic and manual control as needed.
It locks onto waypoints and hovers on its own. But there are situations when the wind blows it off course, and then all the control has to be done manually.
According to the training scenario, enemy infantry has been spotted about 6 kilometers away. That's exactly where the Ukrainian pilot is sending the drone.
We launched an FPV drone with a shaped charge warhead.
It's interfering.
The wind is really strong, so we can't send it farther than 7 kilometers.
Because otherwise it might not be effective, right?
Under ideal conditions, we can cover up to 10 kilometers.
For longer-range flights, the pilots say it's better to use kamikaze drones, since you don't need to bring them back. At the same time, when working as bombers against Russian targets, they are extremely cautious because before dropping the payload, their drone could be attacked by an enemy drone.
For about 5 to 10 seconds, while it's aiming, it can be shot down.
And how you try to deal with that? You already have some understanding, right?
Practice. The faster you aim and drop the payload, the less chance there is of the drone being shot down.
This team has been working together at combat positions for several months now. All the fighters previously served in other roles. For example, the serviceman with the call sign monk was in the infantry, held the line in defense, and then retrained.
There was enough time. The instructors who work with you are important. That way, you quickly absorb information and when you take part in combat operations. I was already fully recognized and could actively participate.
This well-trained crew already has stories to tell about their missions.
There was infantry. It was very far away, still a long way from the front line. They were either rescuing a wounded soldier or doing something else, and we were able to reach them from about 10 or 12 kilometers away.
UAV pilots were trained so that each crew member could, if necessary, replace another. In addition to eliminating enemy infantry, the crew also takes part in countering Russian assaults during intense combat operations. Elena Gromova, Yevgeny Karamzin from Donetsk region for Freedom TV channel.
Ukrainian intelligence has obtained classified information about the newest nuclear submarine cruiser of the Russian Federation. We're talking about the strategic submarine K-555 Prince Pozharsky. Among other things, military intelligence got hold of the submarine crew's personnel lists, combat instructions, the ship's schematics, and much more. According to the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense, the obtained data make it possible to identify the features and technical limitations not only of the Prince Pozharsky, but also of other submarines of Project 955A. The Boryai-class submarines are one of the key elements of the so-called Kremlin nuclear triad. Israel and the United States are working on a plan to end the war in the Gaza Strip. This was stated by the American Special Envoy Steve Witkoff during his visit to Tel Aviv. There, he met with the families of Israeli hostages held by Hamas and assured them that the war would soon be over and the enclave would be restored.
We have a very, very good plan that we are working on together with the government of Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu to rebuild Gaza. This essentially means the end of the war. Stephen Witkoff, Special Envoy of U.S. President Donald Trump to the Middle East, during his visit to Israel.
The terrorist group Hamas must disarm and cease its activities in the Gaza Strip. This was stated on social network X by the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas. She also commented on the recently released footage by Hamas showing Israeli hostages.
The images of Israeli hostages are horrifying and expose the barbarity of Hamas. All hostages must be released immediately and unconditionally. Hamas must disarm and put an end to its rule in Gaza. At the same time, it is essential to ensure the delivery of large-scale humanitarian aid to those in need. Kaja Kallas, EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, on social network X.
An earthquake with a magnitude of 3 occurred in the United States. Residents of at least 2 states, New York and New Jersey, felt the tremors. According to geologists, the earthquake happened at a depth of about 10 kilometers in the city of Hasbrouck Heights. There have been no reports of casualties or damage so far. Rescuers have brought devastating wildfires in southern Europe and Turkey under control, according to the DPA news agency. The most difficult situation was in northern Portugal, where the fire raged for several days. In Spain, firefighters got unexpected help from the rain, and the flames were almost completely extinguished. The fire was also brought under control in Turkey. According to the Ministry of Forestry and Environment, more than 200 wildfires have occurred in the country this year. In just the past few weeks, at least 14 people have died in these fires. For the first time in more than 40 years, Australia has been blanketed with snow. In the states of Queensland and New South Wales, precipitation levels in some areas reach up to half a meter. Because of the heavy snowfall, dozens of cars got stuck on the roads. Rescue services have warned residents about the dangers of icy roads and stormy winds. About 1,000 volunteers have offered to help people who are stuck in snowdrifts. Rescuers have received hundreds of calls.